Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And thank God, football season is finally upon us.
Yeah!
But in today's video, we are going to get back to an old thing. We're going to do the power rankings heading into week 1 of this 2025 NFL season. But before I get into my rankings, make sure you guys leave this video a like. If you like content like this, it continues to help this channel to grow, and it gets the eyes of more people onto this channel. If you want to see more growth, make sure you leave this video a like. And if you haven't, click the subscribe button and notification bell so you will not miss any other videos that I post. But without further ado, let's dive into it. All right, for the first game of the year is defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. I'm putting the Eagles as defending champions. You do lose Slay, but I think, and you do lose Mykel Williams and Josh Sweat, but I think the way this team has drafted lately, I don't see too much of a drop-off. Then you have the offense with Hurts, with Smith, with Brown, Saquon Barkley coming off an MVP-type season, who just got named the number 1 player in the NFL. I think the world of this Eagles team, and I have them at S tier. The Dallas Cowboys, I'm going to put at a B tier. I think with new head coach Brian Schottenheimer, I think this team is, especially after the Michael Parsons trade, I'll be honest, this team is very average in my opinion. That's just me. Very average football team in my opinion. I think losing Michael Parsons is going to hurt tremendously. They do add George Pickens to this offense, but I still think, until I see it, this team is one-dimensional as far as both sides of the football going against the run. So, going against the run and running the football itself. So, I put the Cowboys at B. Next, Chiefs and Chargers. I'm putting the Chiefs at the S tier. For now, I was one that said I really believe this team is going to have a fall-off. Not a big fall-off, but a bit of a drop-off from what the 15-2 was last season. But until we see it, can't count them out. Then the LA Chargers, I have the Chargers at B. I almost want to put this team at A. You know what? I'm going to put the Chargers at A. I know they're getting older defensively. They did lose Joe Bosa, but I think the way this team can run the football with now Najee Harris, I think the way that this team can run the football and Justin Herbert at quarterback and Jim Harbaugh as head coach, even though he got called cheater. But I think this Chargers team is going to surprise a lot of people in 2025. I do. I just have a funny inkling that this Chargers team is going to be a lot better in 2025. Maybe that's just me. Next, we're going to have these Sunday games, the Falcons versus the Buccaneers. I'm putting both teams in B. I think when we come about this NFC South division, I think both of these teams are close, probably neck and neck. I know this Buccaneers team, Baker Mayfield's been playing well. Bucky Irvin, shout out to Hillcrest High School at running back, has proven to be a dynamic running back. I think the Buccaneers question for me would probably be a bit defensively, is because they keep up production on that defensive side of the ball. But then we're talking about the Falcons. Can they rush the passer? Can they rush the passer? I think it's the biggest question. And then on top of that, Michael Penix Jr.'s development. Can he step into a bigger role in year 2? Bijan Robinson, I think the elevation of him will help with that. Kyle Pitts has got to be involved somehow. So, and they lose Drew Darman off this offensive line. They lost Grady Jarrett off that defensive line. But I think this is still a very capable football team. So I have both of them at B. Then we're going to have the Bengals versus the Browns. I have the Bengals at A, and I'm going to have the Browns at D. The Bengals at A, I know a lot of people are going to have questions about their defense, and quite honestly, I have questions about this team on the defensive side of the ball. But I think bringing Trey Hendrickson in does help with new defensive coordinator Al Golden. And we know what Joe Burrow and Higgins and Chase can do offensively. I think the biggest question is offensively, can they run the football? And defensively, they just need to be in the middle with a pack with how explosive that offense could be. But then we're talking about the Browns. Offensively, I'm not big on this offense. They have Denzel Ward from The Ohio State University, and they have Myles Garrett defensively, but losing Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for the year is a big hurt to this defense. A big hurt to this defense. And I just don't see this Browns team, even with Joe Flacco at quarterback, being a very good team. I just don't. So I have the Browns at D as my surprise out of people. Then we're going to have the Dolphins and the Colts. I'm going to put the Dolphins at B, and I'm going to put the Colts at C. With this Dolphins team, they need a culture change. And I just don't think this team is going to be a great team this year. I think the health of this football team has kind of been in question defensively. I think they may have lost a step despite adding Michael Fitzpatrick and the Jalen Ramsey trade. But I just think the health of this football team is in question. And I think especially with Devin Achane on offense, who has been an injury-prone player in his career, and so is Tua Tagovailoa. So I just don't think this is probably gonna be an average football team in my opinion. Then we have the Colts at C. I've been one that told you guys I don't believe in Daniel Jones, and I still, for the life of me, I don't understand why they would kind of rush the process to win. They never developed Anthony Richardson. Maybe that's just me. I don't think they never gave that man the true chance to develop. I like some of the pieces they have on defense, whether we're talking about Kenny Moore, whether we're talking about DeForest Buckner, but I'm just not a big believer in this offense to be explosive outside of Jonathan Taylor running the football with Daniel Jones at quarterback. So I have them at C. Panthers and Jaguars. Panthers are at C. I think I'm going to put both teams in C. I think the Panthers, we have to see what the wide receiver position will provide with Xavier Legette, and they had Hunter Renfrow. I know Bryce Young, I think he's going to take a bigger step in year 3 of his career, but that defense is what's going to carry the Panthers for a good portion of this season. I think defensive side of the ball is where this team could possibly lay their hat. But then we're talking about the Jaguars. We have to see Trevor Lawrence take a step. We have to see it. He's in his second contract. He has to take that step forward. Defensively, I still have a bit of questions about this Jaguars defense. I really do. But I have to put them in a C tier. And a AFC South division that's really not that great. Next, we're going to have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the New England Patriots. I'm going to put the Patriots at B. I think with Mike Vrabel and the improvements, whether it's Will Campbell, whether it's Travion Henderson from The Ohio State University, Drake May going into year 2 of his career. Then you add Carlton Davis to this defense, Christian Gonzalez. They add Michael Williams. I think this defense is going to be good. And then we're talking about the Raiders' perspective. I got to put the Raiders at a C. They did acquire Geno Smith, and I think that is a bigger improvement from what they had at quarterback. But this Raiders secondary is still suspect to me. And outside of Max Crosby, I still don't believe too much in this defense. We know Pete Carroll coming in is a great defensive man, and I think he can get them a little bit better. But I just don't think they have the pieces on the defensive side of the ball to be better. So I'm going to put the Raiders at C. Next, we're going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the New York Jets. I'm going to put the Pittsburgh Steelers B tier. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be an improvement from what they had later on in Russell Wilson in 2024. And I think defensively, they do lose a little bit with Minka Fitzpatrick's loss. But you have Hayward. You have TJ Hayward from The Ohio State University. Cam Hayward, Joey Porter Jr., Ramsey, Patrick Queen. I still think this is a very good football team. Alex Highsmith. I just think offensively, can Aaron Rodgers play to what he did? I think he played a lot better later on in 2024. And can they establish a run game with Jaylon Warren with that offensive line? I think that is the biggest question for them. I'm going to put them at B. But then for the New York Jets' sake, I think I'm going to have to put the Jets at it's a tough one, but I'm putting the Jets at C. I love Justin Fields from The Ohio State University. But can he be the answer at quarterback that the Jets need? And I know Aaron Glenn with this culture is going to be a much better coached football team. I just think offensively, can they, keep running the football with Breece Hall having a bit of an injury history? Braden Allen, who I think is going to break out a little bit in year 2. Defensively, they lost C.J. Mosley to retirement. They lost D.J. Reed in free agency. Can this team elevate their play? Can that defense elevate in 2024 or 2025 under Aaron Glenn? We shall see. Then we're going to have the Arizona Cardinals versus the New Orleans Saints. I'm putting the Saints at D, and I'm putting the Cardinals at C. If you guys know me, I've never been the biggest fan of Kyler Murray. Never have, and I don't think I ever will. I just don't think he's not a bad quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he's the hype that a lot of people have made him up to be. I just never really bought into it. He had an early stretch of 2021 where he was kind of playing like an MVP, but his play has just been so inconsistent that it's really hard for me to believe in Kyler Murray going forward. It's just been very, very inconsistent. Then we're talking about the Saints. Spencer Rattler, quarterback. Team still got salary cap issues. Kellen Moore, I think, is going to come in and improve this team a little bit, but I just don't think they're in a position to win many football games, and that is a good thing for the Saints organization. This team needs to rebuild. They really need to rebuild, especially with that defensive side of the ball getting older and lost Tyrann Mathieu to retirement. Best thing for them to do is not win many football games in 2025. I'm going to just be honest. Then we have the Giants versus the Commanders. I'm putting the Commanders in an A tier. And I am going to put the New York Giants. I'm going to put the Giants at D. I'm not a big believer in the Giants offensively outside of Malik Neighbors. What is Russell Wilson going to be? I do like Tyrone Tracy, but are they going to commit enough to running the football with Wilson? They might try to throw the ball. I love what they do have defensively. I'm not going to lie, with Thibodeau, Carter, Lawrence. On that defensive line, I do like what they have. But it's just the fact of I'm still a little bit questionable about their secondary. And I'm definitely questioned about them offensively and that offensive line. So I'm going to put the Giants at D. And as far as the Commanders go, I really like this football team. Jaden Daniels in year 2. But I did say in the video that they may take a bit of a step back, and I still believe that. But defensively, very good football team. I think Marshawn Lattimore being healthy from The Ohio State University. You got Terry McLaurin re-signed, thankfully, from The Ohio State University. And trading Brian Robinson, I think, is going to be a little bit of a hurt because I think he was a very productive player in his offense. But we'll see how they are in year 2. But going into this year, I still believe that they are going to be a really good team. Then we're going to have the Titans versus the Broncos. I'm going to put the Titans at the D tier. Broncos, I'm putting the Broncos at B. I'm still a little bit questionable, maybe at least just me, about the wide receiver position. You do add J.K. Dobbins in at running back from The Ohio State University. So I think the running game could be somewhat improved. Bo Nix in year 2 of his career, I think, could be a lot better than he was in year 1, and that's saying something because he had a really solid year 1 under Sean Payton. So I think this Broncos team is going to be right there competing with the Chargers for maybe second spot in that AFC West. But then we're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans. This is still a very young football team, still a developing football team. Cam Ward as your starter. I do believe that Cam Ward will have a very good career, but I still think when we're talking about this Titans team, it's still too early in their process. I like Sweat and on their defensive line, Jeffrey Simmons, but I just think this team is still a very young football team that's still going to take some time. Next, we're going to have the 49ers and the Seahawks. I'm putting both of these teams at B. I think when we're talking about the Seahawks, is Sam Darnold going to be it? And I think that is the biggest question. Could he be an upgrade from Geno Smith? We see what he did last year under Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings offense. I know what the Seahawks team can bring at times defensively. Waylon, Witherspoon. Offensively, can Kenneth Walker stay healthy, number one? Because I think if they have a running game along to go with Jackson Smith and Jigba from The Ohio State University, and also as well Cooper Kupp they added in staying healthy, I think this offense could be very productive. So I'm going to put them at B. And the San Francisco 49ers, their wide receiver position is kind of banged up. You have Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall probably going to miss the first portion of the season. Brock Purdy going into year 3 or 4 of his career. I think, year 4. And on top of that, defensively, they lost a lot, whether it's Hufanga, whether it's Drake Greenlaw, and Travarius Ward. I still think this team is a very well coached football team, and then Christian McCaffrey is staying healthy on top of that. Well coached football team, George Kittle as well, but I just think maybe the injury bug may have caught up and is still catching them, and I can't put them anything below B because of how well that this team is coached. Then we're going to have the Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm putting the Detroit Lions in the S tier, and then I'm going to put the Green Bay Packers in the A tier. The Lions, they still have a lot of the guys coming back. We know when we're talking about coaching that they had a lot of changes in their coaching staff. I think the culture of this team is a very good football team. I think when we have Goff played in the MVP-like level, then you have a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in your backfield with one of the better offensive lines, even though you lose Frank Ragnow. Defensively, can Aiden Hutchinson come back healthy? Can this team defensively kind of be a healthy defense? Because we didn't see it much in 2025, but get the team with 15-2. And then we're talking about the Green Bay Packers. Adding Micah Parsons is a big thing, even though he still is dealing with the back issue. They have one of the good offensive lines. Jordan Love, if he stays healthy, I think this team is going to be very good. And it sucks for me to say this as a Bears fan. But the Packers are right up there as one of the top teams in that division and probably to one of the better teams in the NFC, in my opinion. If things go well, if players are healthy. I know that wide receiver position, at least in my opinion, still needs a lot to be desired with Christian Watson being out still. But I believe this Packers team is going to be very good. Next, we're going to have the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Rams. I am putting both of these teams in the A tier. That defense from the Houston Texans with Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Griffith, Danielle Hunter, and you're talking about Jalen Petre, Derek Stingley Jr. I think this Texans team has one of the better defenses in the league. And can this offensive line hold up? And can C.J. Stroud have a better year 3? C.J. Stroud from The Ohio State University. Can he have a better year 3? That is my thing with this team, but that defense is going to be excellent with DeMeco Ryans as head coach. And can they, number one, establish somewhat of a run game with Joe Mixon being out the first 4 weeks? Can Nick Chubb be that spark plug that they have in that running game that they're going to need with this offensive line? We shall see. And then we're talking about the LA Rams standpoint. I think this, like I said, this team last year was one play away from beating the Eagles in the playoffs. Matthew Stafford going to see how that back is looking. But with Devontae Adams, with Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams on the offensive side of the ball with a very good offensive line, Jared Verse, Brandon Fisk on that defensive front, I think this defense is going to be a really good defense. Still a little bit young, but I still think this defense is only going to get better. And then we're talking about offensively. If everybody is healthy, with Sean McVay coaching this team, I think it's going to be one of the more sneaky, not sneaky, but I think one of those teams that we're going to start to talk about them in the top tier teams. Then we're going to have the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. I think I'm putting both of these teams in S. MVP candidates, Lamar and Josh Allen, and who won the MVP. Good running games, Derrick Henry, James Cook, and then the quarterbacks, Lamar and Josh Allen. Defenses, I'm going to put the edge defensively to the Ravens because I think just the slight edge to that team defensively. I'm talking about Roschon Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, who I think is going to have a really solid year too. And then we're talking about the Bills. I think Ed Oliver still manning things up front with that defense. But these teams are two of the elite teams in football. And most really head coach teams, so easily two of the best teams in football. Next is my Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. I'm putting the Bears and the Vikings in that B tier. You guys probably know what I think of the Bears. Very much improved offensive line. Defensively, I think they're going to be a bit more aggressive this year than they were under Matt Eberflus. All the things is about Caleb Williams and can he develop in his Ben Johnson offense. I think that is the biggest thing we're going to look for coming into this year. And then the same thing with the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy, can he be the guy that kind of pulls this team, keeps this team afloat? When I say afloat, I mean still in competition for the NFC North crown. You're going to lose Jordan Addison. I think he gets the first 3 games suspension. Defensively, I think the pieces are getting a little older, but I think with the way Brian Flores does scheme up this defense, still going to be a really good defense. So, but like I said, I think they're going to take a bit of a step back from what they were because I think J.J. McCarthy, basically his rookie year, who missed most of last year, is going to take some bumps and bruises. But these are my rankings heading into 2025. Thank God we got football back, but I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys leave this video a like and continue to help this channel to grow. And if you haven't, make sure you click the subscribe button, notification bell so you not miss anything that I post. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great next day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.